anyways, I don't think I've got an email. I haven't checked it. I'll check it after. What I am coming on today is I want to talk more about group home days and what it's like for kids in care, but also the difference between private sector. All right, here we're back. Sorry, I'm glitching a little bit. And I want to talk difference between working private sector and working for the fucking government unions, okay? So if you've seen my other videos, and also when I do these lives, they expire after like a month. So make sure that you subscribe on YouTube because these videos go onto my YouTube when I'm done. I'm not downloading them, and you know what? You can go over to fucking YouTube and see these videos there, but they expire after a month. But if you go onto YouTube, and it's on Facebook too, I worked in care, kids in care of the CAS. Most of my fucking working life, okay? I didn't work long for the school board. It was long enough because I'm still dealing with those fucks, right? And I didn't have to deal with this shit when I worked private sector. And my bosses actually fucking supported us. Big time compared to what's going on now. I could give you countless examples of my former group home employers defending us, okay? I don't see anyone from the school board defending you fucks. Yet you pay a whole bunch of money for somebody to do that. Meanwhile, your fucking union dues are going over to like fucking Antifa and all these radical fucking groups. Anyways, getting off topic, but still relevant, right? Out of college, during my college placement, actually, I did a placement at the group home. And that's what I did pretty well for most of my adult fucking life. And once you worked with these kids that were removed, apprehended from their homes, apprehended at school sometimes, put right into care. We got kids pulled right out of school and came right to us. Traumatic, right? These kids experienced physical, sexual abuse, neglect. Some were treated like fucking animals, locked in a room, not fucking fed. And imagine you're at school one day, the cops show up and just pull you out of school, right? But going to a place that's better than getting the living shit pounded out of you or getting fucking raped, blah, 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 right? So we were the better fucking option. Once you worked with these kids, it was more than just a fucking job. My work at the group home was way more rewarding than at the school board. There's not much of a team at the school boards, right? Because your higher ups, they don't support you. They come in like, well, what'd you do to that kid? Well, maybe the kid fucking needs a fucking consequence. See, that's the thing. And that's when I noticed the wheels falling off, okay? Okay? Because back in the day, we were like a big family. We tried to be a family for these kids. We were fun, okay? We were fun. I worked at 2 different agencies, and every time I quit them, the other one wanted me back. We're like a big family. But it took a village to raise these kids, right? Where's I going with that? Oh, my work was way more meaningful, okay? And when I worked at the group home, we were a fucking, like, team, And we used to have staff nights, go out and do stuff. Kids would go on camping trips. Some staff would literally go camping in the woods for, like, a fucking week, and we'd send 3 houses on a camping trip. They'd go home, we'd have a staff party, then the next 3 group homes would show up. But in between the shift, we had like parties and stuff. Anyways. But those staff like worked round the clock to give these kids a good camping trip. during the summer, you know, we filled their days with, you know, frisbee golf, trips to the beach, cheap stuff, right? Because we were on a budget. I used to work 13-hour shifts on the weekend, okay? That was our shift. We would work, be off Thursday, Friday, work the weekend, be off Monday, Tuesday. 13-hour shifts, you know, we were with the kids from the time they got up to when they went to bed. And I wasn't the only staff that tried to jam-pack their day with fun while also having some downtime, right, at the house. And it made our shifts go fast, right? And it made the kids forget their problems. So I always had fun on my shift, and I was always outside. I love being outside. Even when I worked the school board, I was the first one to say, hey, I'll take recess. Fuck, I wanted to go out and fucking toboggan down the hill and shit. Fuck. I wanted fresh air. I wanted to go out and play with the kids. You know, I've always been an outdoorsy person. Monday to Friday, we would have scheduled, you know, we'd have baking, cooking, crafts Monday nights. Halloween, we would spend the whole month of October, Monday nights, and then the last week of Halloween, making incredible costumes. My old supervisor, the one that said I was the fastest two-finger typer, you should have seen the costumes he had us make these kids. Like, he just, I mean, he took the lead, and then we would, you know, paint them with the kids or do whatever the fuck. And then the last week was like rush time. But we had like identical characters. Like, we had fucking Spider-Man, Venom going out there, SpongeBob. I don't have any SpongeBobs I've made with just like fan boxes. Oh man, it was incredible. So that was stuff that we did. Wednesdays, we had group. We would go get groceries, and Wednesdays, we would talk about everyone's behavior. We'd sit down in the living room and do group. Also did social skills group. You know, keeping friends, dealing with your aggression. That was us Wednesdays. Thursdays, I forget what the fuck we did. We might have did like free choice, Nintendo night, like it. And everyone had so much Nintendo time, right? We had a level-based system, okay? Level 1 to 4. Level 1 was poor behavior, so they had more restrictions, okay? And less privileges. Kids on level 4, that was the highest, so they had more rewards, less restrictions. We used to have quiet time or bedtime. So if depending on what level you were on, you got less on level 1, but you got more on level 4. Long story short. And level 3 and 4s got to go out once a week on an outing. Paid outing. We'd go to the movies, we would go bowling, you know. And that was to encourage positive behavior. Working for the school board, though, they only encourage the bad behavior, right? Why aren't the kids being held in at recess? Oh, because the aggressive kid needs fresh air and get rid of his fucking energy, or hers, right? We didn't need that shit. You lose something a couple of times, you got to learn how to regulate yourself. So kids need to start being suspended at school, sent home if they're fucking becoming aggressive, and lose their fucking recess. Sit at the fucking principal's office all day. You need to learn how to regulate yourself, kid. So the schools are promoting bad behavior, okay? We didn't, right? And I'll tell you, it's like me. I got a spanking when I was a kid. I didn't get a beating, but I got a tan on the ass sometimes. And you know what? It was the best thing that ever happened. There's a difference between abuse and a tan of the ass, right? Okay? I'm not saying that you should go do that. You know, I, working in the profession, couldn't go tanning kids' asses, right? And nor did I want to. But that's what got me the person that I was. It's about learning how to respect authority, the people around you, right? So you don't have to tan anyone's ass. Though it didn't hurt me. Hurt my feelings more than fucking anything. There's a difference between an ass tanning and a fucking beating, I'll tell you. I never got a fucking beating. But yeah, you just have to reward the positive behavior and consequence the negative. Like, this is horse shit, guys. So, examples of my old employers compared to these ones. Well, anytime there was a situation, I was always backed by my former employers. When I saw the wheels break off the system, it was about 2010, okay? All of a sudden, we averaged kids about 9 to 12, okay? No charges, innocent, okay? Like, they lost their innocence, okay? And they were fucking angry. I would be too. So we corrected and helped them regulate their physical and verbal aggression, okay? And we did wonders with kids. It was 2010. All of a sudden, our kids that were mostly level 3 and 4, and they were doing very, very good for themselves. Limited access to family, supervised contact. Every kid was different. Some kids had no fucking access. And I'll tell you, working at the group home, it was scary to know if lunatic mom or dad were going to fucking show up. So we didn't have just the kids to tend to. We had to worry about crazy mom and dad showing up. One time I was on call and I saw different plates in the driveway. And I thought it was one kid's parents, because that's where the kid's parents were from. And I fucking pulled in that driveway and blocked it. But it was just a staff borrowing a different car. But anyways, we had to watch. Parents weren't allowed to know where our houses were. Like, fuck. Anyways, all of a sudden, this was a change. We were told by CAS, and again, CAS told by the government, trickle effect, right? My former group home employers, really, their hands were tied at the end of the day because we were so far down, right, of the chain of commands, right? So CAS started saying, these kids are going to foster care. It was just like over fucking night, guys. And, you know, we would do plan of cares when a kid first came in, it was every 7 days, then it was like once a month. And then every 3 months, we did a plan of care. It was an action plan, you know, like fucking what they were doing for rec, right down to when their next fucking dental appointment was. It was a fucking like blueprint and what their goals were, right? Some kids their goal was to go home, like to a foster home. Because they didn't no kid likes being in a group home. And it doesn't matter how bad your parents are, the kids still wanted to be with their parents. Like, fuck, they're your parents, right? So really, kids didn't really know what they wanted at the end of the day. So when it came time, like, oh, kid, you're packing your bags going to foster home. These kids were like, it hit them like, oh my goodness, well, I'm doing really good here and I really like the staff. So this one kid was really good. And I want to talk about me playing in his ball hockey tournament sometime. It was a really good story. Anyways, they told him he was going to go live at a compound foster home. Well, compound foster home sounds about as fucked up as how it sounds. So he goes to a meet and greet dinner, comes home, wants to talk to me. Starts crying in the office. And this kid, some kids I worked with weren't really the proper age, you know, but they weren't like really cognitively delayed. They, you know, they just a little bit slower, fetal alcohol syndrome, whatever. But this kid, you know, he kept a lot inside, but he didn't cause us problems. And he worked with his therapist, and he was into hockey and ball hockey. And I actually got him learning to skate. And he taught me how to fucking stop. Anyways, he came home from his, I almost want to cry actually. He came home from his meeting, his new foster home compound he was living in. And it sounds as fucked up as I don't have to describe it. And he started crying in the office. And I don't think the time I had got to know this kid, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, I never saw him cry. And he said, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. And what do you do? I called my boss, told them, okay, well, let the workers know, right? And so I let the workers know. Well, I got in shit. The worker was trying, they were on such a tear to get the kids out that the worker started to say that I didn't want the kid to leave and none of the staff did, and that we had attachment issues. To the point that the play therapist had to actually write a letter also to advocate for this kid. I almost lost my fucking job. Not from my group home employers, but by the chain of commands. But my group home employers fucking stood by me. Stood by me. Anyways, other kids left. Then we started getting kids come in with charges. Okay? And, like, I'm talking serious fucking charges. Some attempted murder. That later on. But I told you in my the CAS video, we got a kid come in, 16-year-old with a fucking gas mask that he smoked marijuana out of. That the worker was like, yeah, this is his. Well, I can't have a kid smoking fucking marijuana out of a fucking gas mask, can I? So I had to lock that up. It was like a World War II fucking gas mask, guys. And I smoke pot. But I ain't never smoked pot out of a fucking World War II gas mask. I should have kept that fucking thing. Just kidding. This particular kid had charges and didn't go to school. I'd have to go downtown and pull him out of the crack houses. Look for him downtown. And that was 2010. So, one day he was going downtown and I had to give him a ride as per his worker, because his worker encouraged him not to go to school, right? And we had to do whatever the worker said because they were their actual legal guardian, right? So, I said, what do you got in your bag there? Oh, I got nothing. Well, let me see. Goddamn house Nintendo is going to go sell it downtown. I said, you get that out of the bag. He was 16. No, this kid didn't have the charges. I'm talking about a different kid, but a lot of the kids had some serious fucking charges. And the younger kids, innocent kids, had to deal with this. We had to start calling the police. I had never had to call the police in all my years. Because you know what? Those kids went to juvenile hall. Well, we got the kids that had trauma. So when they shut down these youth detention centers and we started getting the kids that should have been in jail, they came in and re-traumatized and triggered the younger kids. But my employers their hands were getting tied because they were getting the referrals and that's all we were getting. The employers had to pay the staff, keep the house going, and we started getting mental health. On top of the charges, it was a fucking, got to be a buffet of shit. To the point, okay, that this one employer I had left and ended up going back. We got a 16-year-old girl in there with schizophrenia, undiagnosed because they don't treat schizophrenia until like they're 18 or diagnosed. Well, I ain't never worked around schizophrenia, but I'll tell you, that was schizophrenia what I fucking saw. It was so bad that the supervisor, who was a student when I was supervising previous, and I have a lot of respect for you. You know who you are. Anyways, that supervisor told my boss that I was afraid of this kid. And I've never said I was afraid of any kid. My former employer, she gave her 30 days notice because it was that bad. Kids were scared in the house. The other kids were scared to come out of the room because this girl had schizophrenia. Like, it was some scary shit. It wasn't treated. And I felt bad for her. I really did. So we were getting kids with charges and mental health. Well, right now, do the kids have anywhere to go? Any consequences? Fuck no. Neither do the criminals, right? Are there any institutions for mental health? Fuck no. That's when it started falling apart. So I'd like to know, where are these kids? How much screening is there for these foster homes? Because I'm starting to really connect some fucking dots here. More stuff that's up in here. Up in here. Up in here. And I want to tell you about that kid that I advocated for. He ended up going to a foster home that he felt better about. And I hope that kid thrived. And I have a feeling he's doing well. Out of all the kids I've worked with, I'm starting to think most of them are fucking homeless, criminals, and some likely dead. Because they've been taken advantage of by fucks. Because a lot of the kids I worked with, smart in their own ways, but not really mentally the age they should be. So, anyways, this kid that I advocated for, and I got him learning how to skate. He taught me how to stop. He was playing ball hockey one summer. We used to play ball hockey in the driveway, okay? I would put the goalie equipment on and I would like roll around and be dramatic, and you know, I had all the gear on and I call it my special moves, right? Well, this kid was having a parents versus kids, and he asked if I would go play in the game. And he said, I know it's a Saturday and you're off. When I was supervising, I was Monday to Friday and off every weekend, but on call every other weekend. So I only had 4 days off a fucking month. That's why it really pisses me off if people think I'm just lazy and don't want to work. I could have went on disability when I was fucking 18. I've had Crohn's since I was 12, okay? When I worked at the group home, there was times when it was quiet time, I had to lay on the floor because I was in a Crohn's flare. Okay? I restrained kids in a Crohn's flare. Before I got sick in 2021, I was in such pain but didn't want to call in that the teacher made the secretary drive me to the fucking hospital. And thank you. Thank you for that. You know who you are. B105, right? Good times. Anyways, I was, said I'll play in this ball hockey tournament. Said, yeah, I'll go. It's a Saturday. I'll go. I showed up. I was the only girl on the team. The rest were fathers, okay? So I didn't know what position I was going to play, so they put me in net. And I had joked with the kid on the Friday night before, and I said, do you want me to pull out my special moves? He was 12, and he's like, no, don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass me tomorrow. And anyways, so they asked me to be in net, and I, okay. So the kid gears me up. After the game, find out I have shin pads on my fucking arms. Well, I only let in one goal, but I was only as good as my team, right? I had Father's great defense and whatnot. But I made a lot of fucking saves. To the point that one of the fathers said, we got one hot goalie on our team. And the kid was so proud of me that he was down at the other end of the rink, outdoor ball hockey rink. And he said, show them your special moves. Well, then it was on like Donkey Kong, right? So that's what I did. My job was rewarding. The school board, no. However, it was rewarding because I never worked with autistic kids, ever. The kids I worked with told me where to go and how to fucking get there. And if I did work with anybody on the spectrum, they were high functioning autism, like they could get by. But when I got on with the school board, I called a friend that I went to college with, and I said, I don't know how to deal with these autistic kids. Like, I just don't. She said to me, just know they know everything you're saying. Keep it simple and short and sweet. I did that. I got a autistic kid, skating, Christmas concert, all in the same year, okay? And I was just an occasional staff, but I was always in contracts. I was in hot demand, actually. And got him Christmas concert. I was in it. And got him up on Autism Awareness Day, and he showed the whole school what he could do. And for the kicker, okay, got him up on stage with his whole class, and he sang Thunderstruck. And the rest of the class wanted to participate in it. I had him singing, I had 5 kids playing spoons, I had 5 kids playing garbage bags, 2 kids playing 5-gallon pails, 1 kid with a red Solo Cup redneck shaker, and 2 dancers. And we were the fucking closers. My last year of work, before the school board told me I couldn't go back, but now they're telling me they couldn't modify me like 2 fucking years later, $700 a month on welfare later. Okay? My last year of work, after surgery, coming back on a modified program, the kid that I worked with, autistic kid, I got him stable again. Well, got him stable pretty well and got him on the stage in the spring concert. And he had put staff out the year before. Anyways, I didn't have experience with autism, but that's what I fucking did. Yeah, they called me the child whisperer. And my last year of work was great. I worked at one incredible school with amazing team. And actually, that year that I did the Thunderstruck, the principal I worked with went out of her way to make sure I was recognized by the board as a child and youth worker, because I have my social service work diploma. But I had a principal went out of her way to make sure that I was recognized as a child and youth worker. So, anyways, that's the group home and how the systems have changed. I want to know what's going on with these kids in care. I want to know what group homes are looking like. Where are these kids going? And how much are these foster homes screened? I'm starting to question a lot of stuff right now. So, anyways, you work for the school board. Is it rewarding? What are you rewarding? You're only rewarding the negative behavior. You're not rewarding the positive behavior. Kids need consequences. We know this. We know this. So, teachers, your union's not going to help you. I'm sorry. Sorry, sweetheart. That union job isn't good anymore. And my hat's off to all my former employers at the group home. We had some good times. And we made a difference. We did. We did. Anyways. And I loved all the staff, you know, back when the town was safe. We used to go out for a Christmas party. And we were out this side of the train tracks downtown. And we were all bar hopping. And all of our Christmas presents we threw on the fucking snowbank. And when we were done our last call, after we got trashed, we came back. Our shit was still in the snowbank. All of our Secret Santa presents and all that shit. Could you do that today? Probably not. And that's what made us a good team, was that we went out some and, like, we were a fucking team. Are you a team with your school? Are you a team at work? Your union. It's just about the union. And it's just about you. It's not about your clients, because your job hasn't gotten better. The classrooms haven't gotten safer. So maybe you need to start fighting, because your union ain't doing shit. Anyways, I gotta go. Now I'm rambling. I don't know what else to say, okay? Anyways, just reliving my good old glory days, okay? Comb your hair. I gotta pull that gray out. Comb your hair. Brush your teeth. Change your underwear. Make sure fucking perverts ain't getting in there, okay? Anyways, bye!